chat when you come in to speak. But Bruno's here. What are you saying, Bruno?
I've been on this show before. I'm a Liverpool fan. Now,
Welcome
what did
back.
I say?
Go on, mate.
You've seen me speak with you before in that Haaland to Liverpool video, if you remember.
Yep.
Not sure. First of all, to Liverpool fans who are underestimating Ekitike and comparing him to Nunes, I've got to say this, and I don't care if you don't like this. If he ends up killing it, then you lot won't be able to say zilch. Nada. Nothing. Because I'm seeing a lot of Liverpool fans, and I don't like this, comparing him to Nunes and saying that he's rubbish before he's even kicked the ball. That's not exactly very nice, is it?
It's not nice. You're right.
Secondly, I like the business that we've done so far. I like the way my club is behaving. Now, back in 2021, I said that we needed to behave like a big club. We were acting like a small club, and I didn't like that. We're behaving how we were supposed to behave in 2021 season. Remember what happened that season? We didn't strengthen defence, and we fell off a cliff.
Correct.
And as I've told you on this show 100 times, we don't celebrate finishing top four. We don't do that here. We are the bride. We are the ones receiving the trophy. We don't give the trophy away. We don't do that here. This transfer window has been absolutely brilliant. If we get another striker in there and a defender, because there's rumours about Canate trying to go to Real Madrid. If this guy wants to leave, send him off. Because I don't want to have this Trent situation happening again. If he wants to leave, £50 million, 50 to 70 mil, and they can have him. Actually, no, I'm going to be really strict with them now. You want him? 70 mil. Don't care if he's on his last year. 70 mil, and you can have him. Liverpool need to stop doing too much kissy. Yeah? We are one of the biggest clubs in the world. We need to put our foot down and show Real Madrid who's boss. As for these Isaac rumours, now I'm going to say this now. Newcastle fans, Liverpool, we've been through this. We've been through this. What you're going through, we've been through this with Torres. We've been through this with Suarez. We've been through this with Coutinho. I could go on and on. We've been through what you've been through, what you're going through. We've been through this. So there's no need to throw abuse. I've blocked George already on Coppish TV for talking about his wife. I'm not afraid to do that over there, you know. So criticism, perfectly fine. And if you start throwing abuse, bye-bye, good night, Vienna, done. Right, showing you no second chances, you know. Criticism, perfectly fine. But if you start throwing abuse, bye-bye, good night, Vienna, done. Au revoir.
Listen,
So
I agree. There's no room for abuse here. I totally agree with you on that, my friend. You're happy with this deal, though, Bruno. You're looking at this. You're excited.
I'll give the player a chance. I don't like the way our fans are going, saying that he's rubbish, saying that he's... And that Chelsea fan that you just saw in the comments,
yep,
he could end up with egg on his face.
He could end up with egg on his face. There's no doubt about that. Listen, Bruno, I appreciate you coming on, having your say, mate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, bro. Thank you very much indeed. Bruno there. He's got some fire. Tom Little's with us. How you doing, mate? Good morning. You're on mute, by the way.
Hello.
How you doing? So you've gone on sort of signed a striker that you said you didn't want in relation to young and not quite at the races yet. What's your thoughts on it now that it's actually done, actually here?
I'm not going to flip-flop and say now all of a sudden I'm completely on board. No, my God, it's the best sign you could have made. I still wish it was Isak. And, you know, you heard all the stuff from yesterday and that maybe there's this world where we spy two strikers and it's the pair of them. Highly doubt it. But I've had to reframe how I look at Ekitike. If I look at Hugo Ekitike as baby Isak, I don't see it. I don't think he'll ever be baby Isak. I don't think he'll ever be clinical enough to be a baby Isak type, where you can see them getting 25 to 30 a season, turning up and scoring scoring constantly in these big games, all that stuff. But if I look at Hugo Ekitike as I've tried to frame him as like a Roberto Firmino type in an Isak body. I can sort of see then why you'd want that deal, because his link up was very good, his movement's very good. He can score. It's just rather than it being the 25 to 30, it's the 15-ish, which can work if you get your Rodrigo in, who can push the boat out and get you the 20, 25. I think Hugo Ekitike is very much a commitment to the wingers being your main goal scorers. So we're going to give it another 2 years of Salah getting all the chances and the left winger getting the chances. And then we're going to have Ekitike and Wirtz basically doing link up in the middle and setting everything together in that sense. And in that case, it worked. I still think it's a little bit expensive. It's not my money, so I won't really care in the grand scheme of things. But I do think that, 95 million euros?
Yes.
It's a bit expensive there. But if he comes in, he's only 22, 23.
Well, it's 60. I mean, the base fee you're paying is £69 million.
See, that's not as bad, because add-ons, I think me and you had the same thing on add-ons. I'm quite happy to pay all the add-ons in the end, because it means we've done all right. We're only going to pay all the add-ons if we win stuff.
Yeah, but the time the add-ons come in, just like in Bumo for Man United, nobody's going to be talking about it because you've won things, you're winning things, you're still at the top. No one cares, if that makes sense by then.
So if that's the base fee, that looks a fair amount better, to be fair. So look, I'm not going to lie and say I'm the happiest. I still wanted Isak. I still wanted to commit to having Isak as the guy that everything flows through. But Hugo Ekitike, it should in theory give us a bit of wiggle room with the Rodrigo deal, which now becomes the priority. And you never know. Look, I don't believe it, but the whole thing that Liverpool could sign both Isak and Ekitike, this window has been mad already. I can't rule it out. And I do think now that Hugo Ekitike is in, maybe not this summer, but in the next summer or even the summer after that, Isak could be on the table then, and we could move Ekitike to a different position or have him in a different role. But in the moment, I'm relatively all right with it, because it means that I think I get the plan of action with the signing. I think it's going to be a case of we're bringing him in to drop in, link up, score a couple goals, but it's mainly to facilitate for Salah and Rodrigo to be getting the main bulk of the goals. And hope, maybe he comes in and proves me wrong. I'll be the happiest person if he does that.
Yeah, and listen, I think he may. I get your PTSD. I understand completely and utterly why Liverpool fans have got this fear of, how do I say this? Not doing enough this summer, not retaining the title, buying a developmental player that doesn't develop and doesn't get better over someone that's ready-made that comes in and scores. That's because in the more recent times, that is what you have seen happen. But I've also seen Liverpool go out and buy ready-made players that were meant to take you to the next level and then not work as well. I've seen you go out and buy strikers. Everyone's gone, he had a great year in the Prem, or he's done this, he's done that. I remember watching you guys go and spend 50 odd million on Andy Carroll. But at the time, he was killing it in the Premier League, as an example, and he was like ready to go, and it didn't work. Now, I think that you can look at it twofold in that regard. I think Ekitike is going to kill it for you guys personally. I'm looking at this. Yes, it's better for me than watching you get Isak, because Isak is because of where he sits in the game right now and how well he's doing. But that all being said, it's not like you've gone and just bought a scrub. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, he's a much better footballer than Nunes. I don't see the comparisons between him and Nunes, because Darwin Nunes is a very limited footballer. So he was only ever going to be good at one thing, and when we built the system around to maximise the one thing, he wasn't very good at that anyway. So I don't see the comparisons here, because Hugo Ekitike as a football looks very technically sound, which is why I'm more on board with the idea that he's a Firmino and an Isak body.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do think you're gonna see a lot of Firmino in him because he can facilitate. But at the same time, he got, I think he got 30 GA in 45 games last year. I mean, it's really not. People are talking about him like he's Rasmus Højlund.
Mm.
Genuinely, the way he's being spoken about, you would think he's Rasmus Højlund, and he's just so much better than that.
To be fair, I've always been a bit sort of iffy on the deal because of the history with Frankfurt. The Frankfurt have like a Ponzi scheme with strikers. I've never seen anything like it. The amount of money they make from strikers that never go on to hit the mark. That's more of the PTSD than the Nunes. You know, Luka Jovic, Kolo Muani, Andre Silva, Sebastian Haller, even Marmoush, they got a lot of money for him. And I know he's been okay so far, but still, you know, 70 odd million euros. So I was always looking at that going, I'm not, I don't know if I want to try and be the one to fix that, but we're going for it. You know, like we've got to back these data guys. They've smashed it so far this summer. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on this one. They clearly see something in them. And, you know, if you add, like I said, if you add your Rodrigo on the left, and all of a sudden I'm looking at Hugo, Ekitike and Florian Wirtz doing a nice little interplay with each other to then feed Salah, who can get me 25 to 30, and Rodrigo can get me 20 to 25. And then I've got Wirtz and Ekitike who can pop up with a combined 25 to 30 from their positions. All of a sudden, I've got no worries with the goal scoring side of it, and it's a bit more fluid. I do think this is, I don't know, like a Sam like this. This is us trying to imitate parts of the PSG system. I think you've seen that with the elements of what we've done this summer, and especially in the first pre-season game. I think this is us trying to take elements of that style. You know, Frimpong being such an attacking fullback imitates Hakimi. Ekitike being that kind of guy who'll drop in and link up. That's what Ousmane Dembele done to a point. But I think we're going to do it in a slightly different way, where the wingers are the main goal scorers rather than the centre forward false nine type. So it's going to be an imitation in style, and I'm on board for it. You know, Arne Slot has earned the right to do this. And the one thing I will say is I know a lot of people have been going on about, you know, the amount of overhaul for the title winning squad. It's not normal. Title winning squads don't normally change this much, but this is the same manager who in Holland sold half his team and then won the league the next year. So he knows how to handle squad overhaul. As long as he can implement his philosophies and his ideals, there shouldn't be much of a problem. So I'm glad we're getting him in for pre-season as well. That was something that was I was a bit worried about because we had a bit of a dodgy pre-season last season. I know we wanted to win the league, but it'd be nice if we're going to get all these signings and they work together in pre-season.
Yeah, no, I think it is good to get a player in for pre-season. If you can get a player in for pre-season, then it's good to get a player in for pre-season. I always think that's important to do. I want to just check something. 1 second. So I want to get my dates right when I say this. So, I mean, look, United didn't win the league. We actually came second to Blackburn Rovers. But it was a title campaign where we were 1 goal away from winning it. We'd won the previous 2 league campaigns as well. And I think a lot of people forget that Man United then got rid of a lot of our star players and promoted our class of 92 properly. And we lost our opening game to Villa 3-1. It's where the famous quote from Alan Hansen came that you don't win anything with kids. So some teams have been champions and had overhauls. I remember Man United winning the Premier League in 2007 and going out in that summer and signing 3 or 4 brand new first team players and sort of fringe players also played. Like Andy Robertson, have you got rid of him, by the way? Is he still there?
No. I think he'll stay in the Simicast go.
And this is the kind of thing you'll see, right? Is that you might bring a player in like Kirkes. He may not actually start the season. He may get a little bit of Klopp treatment where it might be 2 or 3 months until he's actually. Do you know what I'm saying? Like these things happen in football, and I've seen very good teams before where they've narrowly missed out on winning league titles and need to change, or where they've won league titles but they want to inject something new. These things happen, and I think it can be good. The only caveat, the only slight concern I would have is it's a lot of new bodies. There could be a little bit of not gelling, which is why what you might see is Frimpong start the season, but maybe not Kirkes. What you might see. You would expect Wirtz to start, but what Slot might go with is say, right, first few games, Szoboszlai might start because he knows the team in the system, and then Wirtz is coming off the bench. And so I don't know if you'll start your first game of the Prem with all 5 or 6 of your new signings starting in the team. It may be a case of 2 or 3 start and 2 or 3 are on the bench, and you integrate them over time.
I certainly think if like you get, you know, a Rodrigo, and I could see Gakpo starting a lot of games still because you know how the system works, and he had a good season last season. Obviously, I think Diaz is going. And the other one, I definitely think Bradley will start a lot more games than people realise. I don't think people quite understand how big on Conor Bradley Arnie Slot actually is. So I wouldn't be shocked if Conor Bradley ends up starting.
Yeah, it could be
Kirkez.
Well, it could be Kirkez that starts, and it could be Frimpong that's on the bench. Rarely do you see a manager, if you sign 5 or 6 new players in the summer, rarely do you see, and I'm talking the bigger teams, all of those new players start the first game straight away. And how do you know that? Because we're all always so disappointed. We're, I wanted to see him. I wanted to see him. We always do that. But there's a reason and a rationale for it. I mean, Pep went out and spent £300 million in January, or 300 million pound. And barring Mamouche, we barely saw any of the free players. You know, whether or not we see them this season is another thing. But that's so normal. They rarely throw them straight in because strikers are a little bit different, because you can have a bad game and still win football matches for your club. Yeah. Where other positions, you get caught. We saw young Diego Leon yesterday, really decent on the ball. But in the first half, caught out of position 4 or 5 times. That's just repetition of playing. So you could imagine, you might start the Premier League. We really fancy this kid to be a star. You might not start him, though, because he might not be ready, especially defensively. So it's going to be an interesting one. A few super chats here. First one says, Ekitike will abuse your eyes in front of goal. Remember,
ironically, he's actually all right with the big chances. It's just he takes way too many of them stupid pot shots, which hopefully you can coach out. But the chances that Núñez missed that maybe want to gouge my eyes out, Ekitike seemingly doesn't miss them, which is already a major improvement.
I hear you. John here says, Terry, love the channel, just subscribed and would love to call in to talk about Arsenal. Get Eze in and Arsenal fans will be happy. We'll do some more call-ins. Might do one later tonight. See what time I get back. I'm obviously out with the family today for my dad's 70th, but we're back a little bit later. Rems here says, rival fans are super salty. I love it, is what he says here.